Namaste, Sasriyakal, Adab, and a very warm welcome to everyone tuning in. I, Ishita, the host of the today's podcast, is taking over a call with Puneet Gautam Gawali, who is a veteran from a Big Four consulting firm, and you are watching the Cyber Section with CSI. CSI is an organization which aims to educate people about digital security. Before we would dive into the techie things, let me ask you a simple thing. How many of you have installed Kali Linux and didn't know what to do next? Well, we all have been there. To solve all these issues and to guide us about this field, we have Puneet Gautam Gawali with us. Puneet, welcome. Uh, I have seen your LinkedIn profile and it talks about being a networking engineer to being a cybersecurity expert in digital forensic. So, how was your journey and how did you transition?
Hi, Shida. It's nice being on this platform. And thank you very much to the CSI team for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to explore this platform and give my experience and learnings to the newcomers and obviously the professionals. So yeah, I have done my masters in digital forensics. Before that, I have done my graduation in engineering. In between, I did a short-term diploma course for the laws which are entitled to cybersecurity, digital forensics, like IT laws. And also, I completed my master's in psychology because combining all this is not easier if you don't understand the pattern or human behavior behind this logic. So yeah, this is the educational background. And as you said, networking I had chosen before because my gurus or my teachers, I should be, emphasizing in this. Firstly, Mr. Sachin Nedia sir and Mr. Ogania sir, who are not there between us today. But then it is a privilege for me getting trained under their, able guidance and good companionship, or maybe we can say that a good teaching which I got it from them. So basically they informed me that the networking, because whatever happens in forensics, cyber security and digital forensics, it is nothing to do without networking. So if networking is not there, like for example IP address, it comes into networks. So routers, switches, all these things comes into network, and nobody can penetrate into your system without networks. There's one thing understanding very basic. Second is, uh, even if a data is going from one system to another system, so it requires a medium, a platform, which networking plays in very important. Another is transferring the media through removable devices like portable devices, hard drives, or pen drives. So that is a type of data exfiltration, but then it doesn't come into networking. That is a physical robbery or something we can call it, but digitally depending. So yeah, this was the reason I completed my networks, to understand how the routing is happen, how the switches are connected, how the routers are connected, which IP address classes A, B, C, and all that. So public IP, private IP, understanding that, and then slowly I moved towards the digital forensics and cybersecurity. So yeah, this was the background. But then one thing in all this is like, it's not completely technical, like cybersecurity, I understand it should be technical, but then it's not completely technically dependent. It should be always human behavior, which should always be understood while investigating such cases. Yeah.
So, is it like being a secret agent at a company or just a corporate 9 to 5 job? Do people actually come to you and say, just hack this person's account for me or just do this for me? So, how is it like? Is it doing for the plot or for the curiosity as well? Or is it the same thing which everybody is doing?
So most of the people, the like lot of majority of people, they think digital forensics is just about hacking or chasing criminals. But then yes, side by side, it gives you an tight collar, white collar, or blue collar job, that you sit between many people, and they ask you what do you do, or if they ask my parents what does your son do, then they very like openly and very proudly say that he is into cybersecurity and digital forensics. So it is an achievement itself that you are protecting the society in some or the other way. It is not like you should be into law enforcement, or you should be into say governments or something like that to protect the society. It is everybody has the a basic responsibility. Whatever you learn, what education you take, what knowledge you imbibe in yourself should be given out to the society. That is the ultimate aim. That is what my parents have taught me, and this is what I have grown up with, and which is why like every case which I solve, every case is I solve, or else for the public talking or the public speaking which I go to various universities, to various platforms, I always tend to give my knowledge, to impart that knowledge to the people, to public, to student, so that they understand what is digital forensics, what is cybersecurity. It is not completely like a money gaining profession. It is understanding what a behavior is, criminal mindset, and then implementing it into the studies and investigation techniques to get out the particular crime out from the society. So yeah, there were a lot of challenges, but then I started, as I said, with networking, and to show the network show like movements across the the servers, or the components which we say which are very essential during digital forensics investigation. So yeah, this was the reason. And a lot, there are like a lot of questions, like misconceptions that okay, since he's in that field, so people would be more oriented like, can you hack our social media accounts to get into boyfriends or into girlfriends or into their private zones. But then trust me, this is just an typical kiddos level or intermediate level, basic level, where the people start thinking that okay, forensics, sorry, I think hacking is comes under this. But then, since we know that social media presence is very important to understand what a person is doing, and that we call as social engineering attacks. So all this comes together, and then the investigation comes up. So yeah, there were a lot of trivial questions coming up like that, asking about social media platforms and hacking and all.
So we imagine hacking as typing on a green screen and in a fast and hastily process. In a firm, if a panic or a hack happens, how does it look like? Is it a panic or everybody is calm and chill?
Okay, so yeah, since see, it's a normal word. If an attack comes up, okay, be it a border attack or digital attack, if an attack comes up, the moment a breach happens, people panic. So taking care of people is very important. Their mindset, their mentality, their composed attitude towards attacks, understanding. Because a lot of, in one of the cases, I would just try to highlight, there were systems which got compromised, and people tried to restart it. So when my team reached there, it was very difficult to get out the volatile data, because all the data, RAM and all the initial things which were very important for the quick wins to understand the process, how attack must have been launched, that was being erased. So it was a one type of like tampering of evidence, which we call in this digital forensics. So it was very difficult to understand. So panicking is really not allowed for for the forensic investigators. As a normal public, it is a mindset, you panic, but then we are there. And since I have done my like I told my psychology studies also, so that helps in some sort of some sort of way to handle that panic mode.
Okay, we all have scenes in movies like people stay up for 48 hours working in the firms for this field. It sounds heroic, but it must be hectic and takes much of the patience. How do you guys stay that consistent, and how do you guys not lose your mind during the process?
So here it is like you have to follow the process, then understanding the people, as well as parallelly understanding the technology also. So one line which I always tell it to my teams is, like, incident response always says preserve first and then fix later.
Okay.
Which means, even if you are like completely worn out for the day, and the case comes up late in the midnight, say 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the night, and you have to rush with your team, your kit, go to the site for the collection, for preserving, for getting the data, to identifying which devices to be collected, that requires a lot of human mind and thinking also. Because firstly, we have to sign out all the prerequisites to understand that okay, these are the systems or servers got compromised, and we have to act on that. So understanding that takes a lot of time. I understand, in movies that is as it is shown, and it is a completely warlike situation. It is similar whatever it is shown in the movie, like in the Family Man or else, other things. It is saying completely like that. The thing here is over there, they are just acting, and we are actually acting. Okay, you understand the word acting and acting? Yeah. So we are actually acting against the crime because we have to counter it and not allowing to spread much more to the other devices. But here, my team, as I would like to say that there are, the team which is always kept it into standby. So if you are working for 24 48 hours, you are allowed to take rest, and the other team comes up and they take over and they understand the situation. We have to give them the handover. That is how the process follows. Once the handover is given, the other person is already acknowledgeable that okay, this has been taken, these actions have been taken, and now the next process is this. So this is how the process continues. It is not like stopping the process for taking rest. The process continues, but the people change. And that is how, like the rapport building of the team is very important in this situation. Because if you don't have any rapport with team members, it becomes very difficult to, explain the things and for the proper outcome. So yeah, that is the main issues. But then that is okay because we are here as a cyber warriors, and we are supposed to act against the crime and help the people and the society ultimately. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you must have handled the international cases where the breach happens across the borders. Let's suppose the data is leaked in Europe and the server is in US somewhere, and the client is asking you here. So how do you deal with such cases?
So every country has its own laws. Okay, we have to understand that. So like it's a massive challenge when a crime crosses borders. So everything regarding the border security or else the transferring of data, we should also be complying with the data protection laws. Like for example, in EU countries, we have to follow the GDPR, then US Cloud Act, then local data rules, whatever is implied. Because one thing should be taken care is data should not be illegally transferred from any place. That should be taken care of. And privacy aren't violated. Privacy law, no rules or anything. It should not be violated, because if that is violated, then the entire case comes to zero. There is nothing, no way you should be working out, because the first thing in, as I said, preservation and collection is very important. And if this doesn't happen properly, the entire case rules out. So, like for example, if you find evidence, very quickly, like for instance, if I try to put it, Teams meeting if the client arranges, okay, and you understand that okay, this is the crime which has been happened, okay, any malware or ransomware or some person internally has done some mischief. So you cannot use that evidence unless it is collected legally. Okay. So you have to explain, or firstly yourself understand what are the legal priorities, approaching to this client. So as I said, they follow different protection laws, and one small mistake can break the entire case. This is the normal funda which we have to follow. So because of this, I was being invited, like I know you must have gone through my LinkedIn profile, and this is very essential to highlight it here, which is why Russian Federation had invited me to explain how these legalities can be curbed into, how it can be solved, so that the legalities and the cybercrime legalities and human interpretation, how it should be understood. For this research, they had invited me, and they also said that we will be working on the same, so that such cases happen, and it should be a very smooth and flow process. And like illegal evidence, it is very worse than keeping any no evidence. Like for example, if we compare, if you have an illegal evidence and if you have no evidence, at least you can say that there was no evidence and it is fine. But if you keep any illegal evidence, for example, you got the proper wins, and you take that data and you get it to your country for processing, then that becomes an tedious process to explain it in the court of law. That is why it is always better that if you don't have evidence, that is fine, but illegal evidence is worst.
Okay, how do you draw a line? Like, if in your case, let's suppose we have a case wherein you find a illegal clue to something, but it's not of your use. So, what do you do with it? Do you inform the authority or just let it be so that it doesn't come on your risk?
Okay, so over here it is, digital forensics or an investigator should not be focused on only one area. Okay, he should be looking into other areas also. Like for example, I'll tell you, if there is an event where it says that this particular data was transferred from this system to another system using an pen drive, I should not be focused into on that one thing only. Maybe there would be some cloud storage or some drives connected, like the Google drives, those connected, or some websites where I have uploaded, where the not me, but then the custodian has uploaded some uh, important and crucial data. So that needs to be understood, and we need to highlight it to the client. It is not some illegal data or something, but then if it is cross border, you have to maintain it, saying that okay, this is also important to us and we are collecting this for an additional data set and additional information, which we'll try to cover it in the forensic report, which is generated at the end of every case. So that is very essential, and maintaining that and highlighting that okay, this is crucial and which is why we are taking, is very much required legally and written also in words to the client, which helps in understanding, better understanding that okay, they have taken this data because they are going to work on this. And if nothing comes up, we can always tell it to the client on the email, or or the report itself, that this was a jargon data, but then we helped in processing and understanding much more in depth. So that is what all 360-degree investigation is very essential in such cases.
What one should do when they receive a scam message or a URL or a phone call with AI voice, or maybe to get their OTPs. So, how does a common person with not much aware about cybersecurity or not much into tech world, how does she or he handle the situation?
See, since we are always into this data identification thing, so it is very easier, not easier also, but we are gone through various hook and crooks, so we understand that okay, this is AI generated, this is original. But for normal people, the layman's, or else not having any knowledge, or senior citizens or kids, so for them I would like to emphasize and use this platform to give the information that if some cases like AI generated, or if you are not having any idea whether this is AI, if somebody calls you and speaks to you, try to identify and regularize the matter by asking questions, by private things, like you remember we had gone to this cafe, do you remember how much you paid, this much amount is still remaining to be paid. If you ask such cross questions, there the AI fails, because those are designed to predefine activities. Okay, if something comes up abruptly, they are not designed to work for that. That is how like the loopholes are. Maybe now we are sitting, and some person in the corner of the world, they must be, he or she must be working on this pattern to work on these loopholes, to cover up such loopholes. But then this is the current situation. You identify the tone, those are like, it is a very continuous tone. They do not pause or stop. AI generated tone, they do not pause unless
Yeah, yeah.
you give a comma, full stop, or something. It is very continuous, and that becomes very easy to identify that okay, this is an AI generated person. Because a normal conversation, like me and you talking, if I'm speaking something, you'll stop. You'll stop to hear me. There it is not that case. They will continue rattling, anything bluntly, or just going on continuously. So that is the identification. Second is video. If a person sends you a video, try concentrating on the eye movements.
Oh,
Okay, the eye, like the person is not blinking normally. If the person is not blinking normally, you identify that okay, this is there. Eye movement, lip movement, and facial movement. Only in some AI cases it is designed that eye and lips work properly. The other part is not working at all. The neck movement, the other like cheekbones or something. It's just lips movement and eye movement. That is very essential and crucial in understanding such patterns of attack. Yeah, Shida.
These days, students are very nervous that AI is taking over their jobs. Is it really such case in cybersecurity as well?
Taking jobs, like, we cannot see in a forensic investigation. AI helps in understanding what drawbacks would be, what loopholes would be, what where to look into. But then AI won't help us in generating a report. Okay,
Okay.
how we do as an investigators, we have to rely on tools. Okay, we rely on tools. We are not completely relying, I'm saying, we rely on tools to get the identification of the artifacts. Okay, which artifacts? Like, for example, event logs, they will give us the artifacts which executables were run, or 4624 id 4625, to understand which events were generated during such, you know situation where the system was compromised. In such situation, we go to the shim cache, we go into the link files, and then combine the complete analysis and put it in the report. What will AI do? It can assist investigation, but it cannot own conclusions. Okay, like conclusion, like, obviously the investigation should not be conclusive enough that, okay, I've completed everything and this is the part. It should be at least an basic understanding that, okay, I have completed the essential parts, like USB artifacts. I have seen that which USB were connected during this time. Okay, and what data was transferred, whether this file was lying into the system or was it lying into the external hard drive. Like, external hard drive will give the path or drive name as DEF, and the internal would be C. So that way you'd be able to identify. Maybe the partition is done, C and D is internal part, then you understand that, okay, EFG. If this is coming, then it is an USB. So this AI will not give you. Even if it gives you, it will not be able to write it down in a forensic report in a proper way, saying that, okay, this is there. And that is how the difference makes. So firstly, don't underestimate yourself that, okay, I'll be relying completely on AI or completely on this thing. You rely on things which you experience. Go through things, image, or forensic image, which we say, image your own laptops. Understand how the imaging is done. Understand which artifacts are important when you process this image into an forensic tool. So this is very essential. Yes, Ishita.
The last question, which skill set you would like your students to go through and have knowledge of? And whenever we see an open LinkedIn, we see a war zone of certificates. Everybody is like, get this batch done, get this course done. So is it really needed or is just a noise?
So as we see in LinkedIn, many posts come up, like job offers and this, if anyone interested, just type or comment interest. So in such situation, the student should understand what pattern is being followed here. Like, you go through that person's profile, understand when that a person completed the graduation, when that person first applied for job. Everything is available on the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If at all this is not been seen, okay, if at all this is not been seen, just Google that person's name, and then you understand that, okay, this person is really, like, genuine, or it's just an AI generated, or some scam or spammers around. So this is the one example. Other is, rather than commenting or providing your legal documents, like, all the PI data, personal data, Aadhaar card, PAN card, to the person, saying that, okay, because here also a logic of psychology comes in, where the person is very desperate enough, to get a job, and to get the job he comes into the crisis situation. Once that crisis situation comes up, that is the moment when attackers attack you, because that is the very vulnerable situation where you are not able to trust anybody, and when person comes and comforts you, you happen to comfort, you happen to, what to say, yeah, you're like, completely giving up yourself to that person, which is very wrong. Here you should be understanding that, okay, jobs are important, but then going into wrong hands is very wrong.
Hmm.
Okay, so you have to identify which pattern they are following, and then maybe you can send a, say, like, separate message, or else just in, update from that owner or that organization that okay, this post, I have seen that this post has come for this organization, is it true, can we apply for this? Verifying this is very important. And certifications, people run for certifications,
Yeah.
but what if that person is not able to prove anything in the court of law with the proper evidence? Because you see, I've seen strong cases which have failed in court and miserably failing, not because the findings were wrong, but because they couldn't explain clearly to non-technical people. This is very essential. How do you explain? How do you put up yourself? How do you put up your findings? Okay, because I remember when we write exams, okay, we know what we have studied,
Hmm.
and putting that is important. Teacher doesn't know that we have studied. Okay, teacher will understand that only when she or he reads our answers, and that is how communication is very essential in digital forensics. You have to convince client, you have to convince the court of law, you have to convince your own managers or your own employees or your own colleagues that okay, this evidence is very important in this situation. Communicating and putting yourself, putting your mind, putting your heart into that is very essential, very crucial. If you are not able to do that, the entire investigation falls back. And that is why, that is how people have their evidence have just ruled out into the system.
That was insightful. So let's begin with the rapid fire before closing the session. So you just have to answer in a word or two. So is incognito mode actually private?
uh, See, it is a type of game. Okay, people think that it is an incognito mode, and maybe our identification is not seen into the outside world. But no, it is not like that. Websites and networks can still see you. So, in short, if I can say, it doesn't work. That is a false statement which has been overrated these days.
Um, Free VPN apps.
Free VPN apps, I would not name any apps, but then yes, there are, at some point you can hide yourself. But then if we as investigators dig deep in, then there are very, possible ways to identify from where and what has taken place.
Face ID or fingerprint.
More than this, I would suggest alertness. Okay, alertness is very important. Even if you give your fingerprint or face somewhere or something, some things would crack up and this would also get leaked. The better way is, if an two-factor authentication, if any OTP comes, you are not supposed to share or like reveal it to somebody else. You keep it to yourself and you understand that okay, this is my personal data. I should not be giving it. If somebody asks you credit card photo, debit card photo, call them, dictate the number. That is okay if you're ready to help, but do not send the photos because digital evidence remains in the digital world. It is not wiped at all, which we call as digital footprints.
Okay.
Yeah.
Strong password or a password manager.
Both works unless and until you are not leaking it anywhere.
Okay. Windows or Linux for learning.
I personally would suggest Linux because I started my career, all that doing all mischief on Linux by hacking my Wi-Fi, my own system, my own mobile devices, getting into that. So yeah, Linux I would prefer.
One industry most at risk.
Maybe health industry I would say because the most important things are available there
Okay.
on their websites, on their database.
One forensic artifact you would like to recommend.
Recommend is like I cannot one of my favorite I would say, but the recommending is not done because sometimes these findings would be essential in binding the other findings, like shim cache. Shim cache will be dependent on say event logs. Event logs will be dependent on MRUs, most recently used, or executables. So everything is binding, but my favorite would be event logs because if you say extract the evtx file, system evtx, security evtx, you extract that file and put it in an application called log explorer. There you get the detailed explanation of every part, every time, every second, what has happened to your system, all the changes. Even if the logs are disappeared, that gets reflected there.
Last is one habit everyone must adopt.
Keep yourself educated, keep yourself literate about what is happening. If professionals, if you're interested in coming into digital forensic and cybersecurity, understand the new crime pattern. Okay, because crime is a person. Okay, my teachers, as they have trained me, they have trained me that if you're investigating something, see to it that you investigate into an anti-forensics method. How an robber or how an cyber attacker will think about it, and then your investigation starts become little easier. So there is a fine line between, like ethical, criminal.
Hmm.
You have to maintain, and this is how, you should be keeping yourself updated. That okay, I have to be used to the society, at the same time maintaining this fine line between ethical and criminal. Yes.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Your insights were great. At the end of the podcast, I would like to say cybersecurity is not just being curious about something, it's also being responsible enough to hold your data safe. So stay curious, stay safe, stay saksham. Thank you.
Okay, Shita, thank you.
Thank you.